Hey, shitty cameraman. Shitty cameraman. Shitty cameraman. Weird. I wonder why my cameraman never showed up today. All right, long story short, am I in the shot?
Yeah, you're
Man.
A1.
Get on the program. Get on the program.
I gotta buy one.
Together, huh? What's this? Windmill. Windmill warm up to punch my cameraman out. That's what it's for. Bang, bang. Ain't just like that bang. Some people like no gratitude. No gratitude. You know, they get to work with the mountain and everything and they don't even show up. Kids.
Train the muscles, not the joints.
Mountain. Mountain. Two poses, see? You got two poses this time. So welcome back to Natural Glam Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you about when you can lock out. No. This is definitely not a time you want to lock out. Oh man, I guess this video is going up tomorrow. I gotta walk. I'll see you guys later. Bet you He-Man doesn't have this problem. He has Battle Cat. Battle Cat doesn't have car doors or automatic locks. I gotta get myself a cat. Put a saddle on that puppy and ride him around. Now I've made videos on this stuff in the past, but hey, I like recycling shit. I like recycling stuff up. Why not? Let's talk about it. Let's create a connection here, you know what I'm saying? We're jiving, man, we're jiving. You know what I mean? We're going back and forth. We're like bros, man. We're like bros. I'm gonna tell you when you can lock out. And it's pretty easy, actually. It's pretty easy to understand when you can lock out or when it's the safest to lock out when you're training. Now, the rule is that if the force that you are contracting against is working in opposition to the lockout of the joint, then it's okay to lock out, such as a leg extension or tricep extension. You see, if I do triceps, right, I'm extending the arm and say the weight is moving in this direction. Obviously, if I'm locking out, it's not causing any danger to the elbow, because the force is actually in opposition to it. You see what I'm saying? But if I'm locking out and then the force is like, say I'm doing a bench press and I'm locking out like this, but the weight is able to possibly hyperextend my elbow, then that will be a risk. And you've seen it on some of the leg press memes on the internet where somebody locks out their knee on the leg press and then their knee bends backwards. They do the ostrich thing. It's really sick. So don't look it up if you don't want to see it. But the bottom line is that it can happen, right? So whenever you're locking out, you don't want to be doing it when you're resting on the joints. Just like squatting, if you're coming up the top, you never want to lock the knees out. You never want to do that. If you're locking the knees out, it's only a matter of time before you either just create more wear and tear on the joints or cause some sort of issues. You always want to have a slight bend in the knees or a slight bend in the elbows whenever you're doing pressing movements. So you don't want to lock out when the weight's going to be just resting on your joints, because when you're locked out, that's when the joint is not stabilized the most, because the muscles aren't able to actually keep it together or protect it in that moment. Right.
What?
Mounted push. CrossFit. It's just like jiu-jitsu, right? When somebody basically breaks your joint, it's when it's locked out. It's not when it's bent. The joint gets broken when it's locked out. So there's a reason for this. So in that tradition, you know, say you're doing tricep extensions, you can lock out on those. That's no problem, right? Because the weight is opposing the lockout. Leg extensions, same thing. You can lock out on those, right? No problem, and you won't have any issue. I look really pretty right now, don't I?
So cute.
So pretty. So damn purty. So damn purty. So purty that the camera is like wants to mirror my ass. That's how purty I am. Now in leg curls, you can't lock out because the weight is coming down. And if you lock out the joint in that case, the weight is pushing your knee into a greater lockout position. You know, see what I'm saying? So the weight is actually trying to break your knee or to move it in the opposite direction, right? So it's basically trying to hyperextend your knee. So that's not a time that you want to lock out. Same with bicep curls, and you're doing preacher. You don't want to lock out in that case, because if you lock out, the weight is already threatening to lock out the joint, right? So it's only when the lockout and the weight tension is going in opposing directions can you lock out. Again, let's go back to the tricep extension. I'm tricep extension, but the weight is going in this direction. So by locking out, I'm not threatening my elbow to hyperextend by any means, because the weight is not pushing it in that direction, right? Now, with a leg curl, like say this is my hamstring, the biceps is my hamstring, and I'm doing a leg curl, and then basically I'm coming down with the weight, If I lock out and the weight is also pushing my arm in that position, I have one major force going in the direction to lock it out, and then if I relax the joint or let it lock out, then I may hyperextend the joint. So you definitely do not want to lock out under those circumstances for sure, right? Or one of the other times you don't want to lock out is with chins or with back training. A lot of time in chins or lat pull downs, people will just hang on the joints and hyperextend the elbows. You can get away with this for a period of time, but after a while you'll start to end up with a bursitis in the elbow, like golfer's elbow, or some sort of shoulder issue. And that's because you're basically, again, putting the muscle in the weakest position and hyperextending it, so you're basically tweaking the joints, especially if you're relaxing the muscles in this lockout position, which is usually what happens when you're fully locked out. The muscles are in more of a relaxed state, and because of this, now the joint takes the stress, and you may get a chronic bursitis or some sort of tendonitis issue because of that. So yeah, don't lock out under those circumstances. But yeah, if the force is opposing the lockout, then it's safe, like in the leg extension or the tricep extension.
Now it's important for you to understand that sometimes you can lock out with certain exercises depending on how you do them. How you do the exercise will actually affect whether you can lock out or not. So if you notice when I'm doing the French curls right here or the skull crushers, my little finger is up against the dumbbell and the edge of the dumbbell. So this is affecting how the force is playing out. So even if I lock out, the force is still opposing the lockout position, you see? So because of the position of the dumbbell, it actually changes the way the forces would work. Now, if my index finger was up against the dumbbell and I straightened, then the forces would probably be threatening to hyperextend my elbow. So yeah, the way you do the exercise will affect whether it's okay to lock out or not.
So I hope that clears that up, because yeah, it's pretty obvious to me, but sometimes I understand like that you just got to wrap your mind around the logic, and then it's pretty easy to figure out. So I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the patron supporters, and take care for now. Mountain.